This video is going to walk through the entire process of drilling and collecting one sample's worth of material. So the first thing you want to do is select the vector that's going to be drilled. This is pretty easy. Just click it and you'll see that it changes from black to red on the screen here. Once you have that vector highlighted, you're going to go to the right hand side of the screen and choose Plot Item in the vertical blue box. Clicking Plot Item will bring up this sort of pink colored screen here. A couple of things to point out. Item count is 1 because we're going to drill one sample. Increment is selected. We're going to drill 2 passes, each at 200 microns. The first pass, 200 microns depth below the surface. The second pass, 200 microns just below that. And that's going to be a total depth of 400 microns. Once you have these settings entered in, and I will say that if you're continuously drilling the same thing over and over again, you won't have to change any of these settings. But if you do, just click Apply and then Execute, and that's going to set the drill in motion. And you're going to see here, well, first of all, the drill lowers down to right above where you've set the surface to drill a sample, and it's going to start making its first pass. The video quality isn't all that great here, but the drill has just made one pass. It raises right back up. You can see on the screen here, now we have this bold red line sort of, that's just indicating the drill's already made its first pass, and there it goes making its second pass. Once this is completed, the drill bit raises back up, and then that'll give you time to collect your sample there. So I'll try to show you here, and again, the quality is not very good, but you can kind of see there's a little bit of powder that's collected. That's the sample that we've just drilled. So the next thing we want to do is go ahead and collect that sample and get it weighed up and transferred to a vial. Okay, so we've got our weigh paper already tiered on the scale here. We'll go ahead and take that out. And everybody does this differently, but basically you just set it down. And we use, set the weigh paper down, I mean, and to actually collect the sample material, we use an X-Acto knife and a razor blade. So we just kind of use that knife to sort of scrape the powder up onto the edge of the razor blade. And once we've got that on there, we're going to transfer that powder to our weigh paper that we've got sitting to the side here. Again, this is that piece of weigh paper that was on the scale. That's important. Make sure that you're using the right one there. Transfer that back over to the scale, and then it's straightforward. I mean, you just read the weight off the front of the scale here. It's going to be in milligrams. And while you're letting that scale settle, it's a good idea to clean the sample surface. So what Raj is doing here is using a pressurized air hose to blow off the surface of the sample. This is a very important step because you don't want to cross-contaminate your samples. So we can see here the scale is ready. It's 6263 micrograms. That's 0.063 milligrams. Once you have that weight, go ahead and make a note of that. And then you're going to be ready to transfer that over to your collection vial, which you can see, again, Raj is labeling his vial here. Our labels are pretty simple. We just put the sample name and the weight on each label. You guys may do it differently in your lab. But one thing I do want to say here is it's obviously very important to keep notes. So once we collect each sample, we're going to make a note of the weight. We also have the name there, the date it's sampled. Some other things that you might want to include in your notes are your some details about the drilling method. So the spacing between each sample, the depth, 2 passes at 200 microns, that sort of things. And any other notes that you might want to keep, like when you set the surface, if the sample's changed while you're drilling, maybe you're entering a porous area or maybe a dark band, something like that. But the idea here is that it's very important to keep as detailed of notes as possible because you never know when those might come in handy on down the line. And I will just say this, we keep our notes in a Google spreadsheet. We've covered this in another section in the guide, so there's some details about that there. This is a pretty handy way to do it. So once you have that taken care of, now what Raj has done is he's added a new clean piece of weigh paper to the scale. He's going to let it sit there. And while he does that, then you just exit out of this screen you have here. Exit brings you back to the main screen here. You want to get rid of this bold red line, so just do a redraw. The red line will go away. Before you drill your next sample, you need to deselect the red vector here, which is the sample we just drilled. clicking your next sample changes it to red, and then holding shift and clicking the previous vector changes it back to black. Now it is unselected, so when you click plot item to drill the next sample, it's only going to have one under the item count there. So you're good to go, and then just repeat the whole process to drill your next sample.